So just a short introduction. My name is Pengeran Muhammad Farid Zulusni Berpengeran Aziz. I'm the lead cybersecurity awareness trainer in Buset. So I hold several professional certification, including certified information security awareness manager, certified technology specialist, ethical hacker, security plus, SANS, and regularly attend a conference in IT security summits to keep up to date with the latest threats and trends in IT security. So I have many years of experience in teaching and have given numerous talks on information security, basically to government, both private and public sectors, educational institution, including higher institution, secondary school, primary school, and among the Bruneian public as part of our vision to basically educate Bruneians on what threats and dangers are out there in the age of IT and internet. And Alhamdulillah, it's been 10 years I'm with Buset. So I'm not alone. With me today, our facilitator, we have Izwana, Nomi, and Ida with me today. And unfortunately, Khatijah can't join us today due to other work commitments. And just to highlight, due to the time limitation for today's presentation, our facilitators will assist you with the question and answer by answering your question during the webinar. So basically, you can have the question and answer throughout the chat features. And of course, we also have question and answer towards the end of the session. And I will try my best to answer some of the question yang remaining kadang. And inshallah, we will stay around for an extra 5 to 10 minutes to answer any additional question live. So moving on, short introduction of Cybersecurity Brunei. His Majesty consented to the establishment of Cybersecurity Brunei as the National Cybersecurity Agency for Brunei Darussalam, which began operation on 1st August 2020, coming 2 years. So Alhamdulillah, CSB offered 3 core services, which is BRUSET, NDFL, which stands for National Digital Forensic Laboratory, and CWC, or Cyber Watch Center. So Cybersecurity Brunei operates under the Ministry of Transport and Info Communication, or in short MTIC, with the Minister of MTIC as a minister in charge of cybersecurity. And of course, one of our interests is to increase public awareness of cyber threats happening nowadays. So this is actually part of our initiative. Okay, the agenda today will be covering 5 areas: password, passphrase, demonstration, what can you report to Buset, and follow with question and answer session. While for password, we will discuss more on the introduction of password, password manager, methods of password attacks, and basic cybersecurity tips on related to password. So without further ado, let's start with the first topic for today. The first agenda. So password, what is a password? What is it? So I wanted to answer a question that we've been getting a lot. Should I use a password or passphrase? And what's the difference? Itu yang commonly being asked on our side. So traditionally, a password is going to be much less complex than a passphrase. So both of them are intended to do the same thing, which is to protect your account and protect your information. Okay, but a password, and let's be honest about how they are used in the real world. The password is going to be most of us time just to meet the requirement, macam 10 characters, uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and symbol. And we should try to use this clever password. And most of the times they are not clever, and they are orang pernah kena hacks, kena compromise, kena pawn dan sebagainya. And sometimes people also mengomplain that orang pernah terima email berupa macam extortion email stating that your password are out there and being hacked, cracked, or dan sebagainya, or stolen. So a couple of difference between a password and a passphrase. A passphrase is going to be much more complex, and it's probably going to be much easier to remember, tapi ia complex but easy to remember. And now most modern systems allow us to have passwords that are going to be between 10 to 150 characters. Okay, so most of the system nowadays support this and passphrase punya capabilities. So they're gonna allow spaces, special characters, etc. So that going to allow us to create a passphrase, which usually I tell people to use macam favorite line out of a movie, favorite line of a song of the title, ataupun something that is longer than 10 character or even up to 30 character. So inshallah, later during the demonstration, we will pull up a couple of password sites to test, and you're going to see exactly what's the difference in the strength of what we think is a clever password and then passphrase. So basically the difference between both of them. So next, a password is a word or string of characters intended to differentiate an authorized user or process. So basically, the purpose is for permitting access to from an authorized user, or put another way of password is used to prove one's identity or authorized user to a resources. Okay. So password are basically commonly used in email, social media, or even devices macam your mobile phone, smartphone dan sebagainya. So some of the threats are related to password ni macam password guessing, dictionary attacks, brute force attacks, phishing email attacks dan sebagainya. So we'll cover this later juga. So the consequences of having a password. And then as you can see, this is an example of traditional password. It's typically a short combination of alphanumeric, uppercase, lowercase, and a symbol. So most password we create just meet the minimum requirement. And of course, due to the nature as a human, macam pelupa, okay, as much as possible, we tend to create password related to our personal information. Okay, typically people use a password related to macam orang punya nama, tarikh lahir, IC number, plat lesson, street name, dan sebagainya. Okay, so as a best practice, okay, to construct a good password is kalau boleh to avoid word such as macam your password, macam kena tanya password, you give password je. Okay, try to avoid using your real name, address, or even words or a program that can find in the dictionary, including your macam pet's name, family member, and etc. So I'm just going to share with you guys the most popular password used in 2021. Okay. And as you can see from the screen, most of the password used is easy to guess, and it's too simple to make it more vulnerable, which means easy for cyber criminal or hacker to access user account if they use this sort of like a password, maybe macam password guessing ke apa dan sebagainya. Okay. So if your password are categorized as one of them, as much as possible, lepas this webinar, we advise kalau boleh tukar. Okay, next is an article from CISA. CISA actually stands for Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, okay, which is a department, which is a part of the Department of Homeland Security based in United States of America. So as you can see, one of the recommendation is to use the longest password or passphrase permissible by each password system. Okay, and then the other point is, and not based on personal information that can be easily accessed or guessed. And then another point is, don't use words that can be found in any dictionary of any language. Okay, so why? We will cover this later. Kenapa? And the one I need to highlight join inside the red box is the word passphrase, which is we'll cover in this webinar as part of this agenda kadang. Okay. So next, password manager. Okay, so people tend to have a lot of password to remember. Example, katanya, I have 10 accounts. I have 3 Gmail, 2 Hotmail, 4 Facebook account, and so on. So people tend to have a lot of password to remember. Okay, especially kalau we recommend to have a different password for different account. So one of the solution is actually to use password manager. So using a password manager is the easiest way to keep your personal and private information safe. Okay. So a password manager can generate, retrieve, and keep track of long or super random password across all of your accounts. And then a password that will take hackers a lifetime to crack. So password managers also secure critical online information or your personal identifiable information, macam your credit card number, the 3-digit CVV codes, or even your home address, answer to your question, dan sebagainya. Okay, and it depends on the different features of password manager that provided. So the information is right at your fingertips, making form filling faster and easier than ever, automated. So there are various types of password manager available. There are free and paid version as well. So bezanya is actually in terms of the features and the limitation by each of the password manager punya software. So our recommendation is just to make sure that you download the software password manager from legitimate websites and not from untrusted sources like torrent dan sebagainya. So a password manager stores all of your password in a single account. And then the master password to your safe is the only password that you ever need to remember. So basically, kalau dalam password manager tu ada, multiple information macam 20 password. So what you need to do to protect them is you just need one master password, basically to open all the password. Okay, macam the physical safe. Dalam safe tu ada benda-benda yang important, but you need to keep the master key. Same apply to this theory. Okay, next, I'm going to share with you guys on the password manager. The best password manager for 2022, macam example-nya like Keeper, Zoho, Dashland, what else? LastPass, or even NotPass, One Password dan sebagainya. Okay, so you can Google this, the best password managers for 2021 or 2022. So some of them ada juga provide the services as a browser extension. So we'll make it easy to use. Okay, easy to use. Whenever a website open a credential, macam dia minta password, username dan password, we automatically prompt for the credential according to what is being set previously from the user. So that's the good thing about having password manager in place. So the benefit is, of course, a convenient, and then they are able to generate complex password. Okay, that depends on the features, different features. And of course, they have the orang punya disadvantages or cons when using password manager. One of them is actually the risk of breach on all accounts if the main password is leaked. So it's very important for you to create a strong master password while using password manager. And then storing password on computer leaves a vulnerability. Okay. And another disadvantage to add on is bear in mind that some of the password vault is safe on the cloud, so which require your device to have an active internet connection. So therefore, in a situation sekiranya if your internet is down and you want to access to it later while offline, so it's impossible. You need to connect to the internet. Okay. So next, a frequent question being asked is which password manager software should I use? Okay. Well, I will share information based on best practice. So decision is yours. Ini you punya best practice ya. So the first one, you must download the software from official or legitimate sites. And then the second one is to make sure it's a well-known and reputable. You need to baca dia punya review, comments dan sebagainya. And then has high ratings and good reviews. Okay. And of course, password manager that is updated frequently. So itu is actually a basic tips that you can, as a platform or reference that you need to membaca before mendownload these password managers tools. So for more information on this, you can also, I will be sharing with you guys the link juga. Okay, as promised earlier, I will share different types of password attack. So below, from the screen, you can see a few methods on how cybercriminal attacks your password. So number one will be brute force attack, okay, dictionary attack, keyloggers attack, dan credential stuffing. So no worries, I'll cover each one of them. So first thing first, brute force attack. So a brute force attack is a hacking method, especially on the password, that use trial and error to crack your password, credential, or even encryption key. So it is a simple yet reliable tactics for gaining unauthorized access to individual accounts or even organization system and networks. So the hackers try multiple username and password, often using a computer to test a wide range of combination until they find the correct login information. Okay. So the name brute force comes from attackers using excessively forceful attempt to gain access to user account. So despite being an all cyber attacks method, brute force attack are tried and tested and remain a popular tactic with hackers. So up until today, brute force attack ini masih lagi dipakai by cyber criminal. So please make sure you use a complex password. Okay. So the difference is, lowercase, alphabetic dan sebagainya. So as your password complexity increases, the chances of being brute force attacks successful brute force attacks is decreasing. So as much as possible, when you try to use password, we recommend it to be complex. And then the second one is enable and configure remote access. So basically ask your IT department if your company use remote access management. An access management tool like OneLogin will mitigate the risk of brute force attack. Okay, so I need to reduce the risk of being attacked. And then require multi-factor authentication. So I will cover this one later. What is multi-factor authentication? So yang kedua is dictionary attack. Okay, so dictionary attack ini is actually words that comes from dictionary. Okay, so how to prevent as much as possible, kalau boleh never use a password that is actually related to dictionary. Kalau if you ever read in a book, it should never be part of your password as well. So if you must use your password instead of in access management tool, consider password management system tools lah. And then lock accounts after too many password failures. Ini actually automated by the system itself. And then consider investing a password manager. A password manager automatically generate complex passwords that help prevent dictionary attacks. Okay. So next is the keyloggers. So this is a very dangerous threats that are happening currently. So keyloggers are a type of malicious software designed to track every keystroke and report it back to the hacker. Typically, a user will download the software believing that it to be legitimate, or only for it install a keylogger without notice. Okay. So please make sure you check your physical hardware, as you can see from the picture, an example of physical hardware. So if someone has access to your workstation, they can basically install a hardware keylogger to collect information about your keystroke. Okay, so regularly inspect your computer and the surroundings area to make sure you are, you're protected by this kind of threats. And then of course run a virus scan. So this is very important to mitigate in terms of the software punya keyloggers. Okay, so use a reputable antivirus software to scan your computers on a regular basis. So antivirus companies keep the records of the most common malware keyloggers and will flag them as dangerous based on the signature. And then the next one is credential stuffing. So if you ever suffered a hack in the past, you know that your old password will likely leak onto a disreputable website. So credential stuffing takes advantage of accounts that never had their password changed after an account break-in. So hacker will try various combination of former usernames and password, hoping the victims are never changed. Okay. So ways to mitigate these credential stuffing attacks is to monitor your accounts. Okay. So there are paid services to monitor your online identities dan sebagainya. And then the second one is regularly change your password. Okay, that depends on you lah. As a best practice, kalau boleh, as much as possible, we recommend user to basically change 3 bulan sekali or even 6 bulan sekali, or at least setahun sekali. Okay. So the longer one password goes unchanged, the more likely that a hacker will find a way to crack it. Okay. And then the next one is managing your password. Okay, basic cybersecurity tips. So we will share basic cybersecurity tips on ways to manage your password. So some of the basic security tips on managing your password is number one, never or don't write it down. If you must write it down because of due to the pelupa dan sebagainya, please make sure do not leave it in a public place ataupun open. Keep it in a safe and secure place. And then number two is don't share your password with anyone else, even with your close friend dan sebagainya. And then always use different password for different account. Okay, so if you have 3 accounts, so you will have a 3 unique password. Okay, so any challenges-nya when it comes to password, we follow the best practice. And then change your password every 3 months, as mentioned previously. Kalau boleh 6 months, and then kalau lupa juga at least setahun sekali. Okay. So in summary, okay, one of the recommended ways to protect both password and passphrase from being attacked is always to use multi-factor authentication, or in short MFA, ataupun two-factor authentication, 2FA, as a multi-layered added security. So they come up with these two types of MFA ataupun 2FA. It can be either software based or hardware based. So hardware based ni is using physical token of personal devices. Kalau kita lihat token itu is actually example of hardware devices. So while software based is using software macam Google Authenticator, which are mostly installed inside your smartphone. So both have the same goal, okay, to authenticate or verify a user identity for a login or other transaction. So I'm just going to bring up a quick poll. Izwana, can you help me with the poll? So it's the poll will ask you either you pernah memakai two-factor authentication ataupun multi-factor authentication. So if you guys pernah memakai, yes. Kalau tidak, no. Or I'm not sure. Kadang-kadang kalau you guys pernah experience membeli barang shopping, okay, while using Baiduri or any macam Baby Dika, usually MFA ataupun 2FA ni automatically implemented sudah. They send 6-digit notification to your mobile phone devices, and what you need to do is to verify them back dan sebagainya. So Alhamdulillah, among the participants today attended, around 34 participants, 81% okay, yang memakai either 2FA ataupun MFA. So yang the remaining 12% no, okay, and 8% is not sure. Okay, so for those attendees yang dah pernah memakai 2FA atau MFA ni, as much possible after this webinar, if it's possible, kalau boleh you guys memakai 2FA atau MFA basically to protect this password dan sebagainya. And I will show you kadang insyaAllah macam mana. Okay. Next is a passphrase. Okay. So what is a passphrase? Okay, a passphrase is a stronger type of password that combines multiple words into a long string of characters. So it's easier to remember and harder to hack ataupun crack. Okay. So example of passphrase is one of the recommendation is to use passphrase consists of either lyrics ataupun codes. Okay. So as you can see from the screen, we're just going to put a random, words lah, macam ambuyat, kismis, lada, tarap, sirih, tibadak, belacan. So most probably this could be one of your, best ataupun favorite dish juga. So this can be as part of your passphrase juga. Okay. So example. And then the second one is twinkle little star, how I wonder what you are above the world so high. So okay. So ini another example of a strong passphrase. Okay. And then the next one is the quote. Okay, I left this quote. It's actually from the John F. Kennedy, if I'm not mistaken, JFK, one of the American politician back in the days. Okay, so the quotes sounds like ask not what your country can do for you, and then ask what you can do for your country. Okay, so it's like a sort of like motivational quotes, which you can use as part of your password job if you wish to. Okay. So when you use a passphrase, best practice to use at least 4 or 5 words lah. So ada juga, there's actually websites that provided services macam passphrase generator. Example is macam if I come across previously macam use a passphrase or worksited.com/passphrase generator dan sebagainya. Okay, there's number of websites that actually provide this sort of like random passphrase that you can use or to get the idea lah. Okay, as discussed earlier, the benefits of using a passphrase. Passwords are easily to crack, but because it's easy to guess. Okay, so while passphrase are difficult to guess by both human and robot. So that's the good thing about using a passphrase. So yang kedua is easy to remember compared to random words. Okay. It will be easy to remember passphrase from your favorite song or chord than a short but complicated password. Okay, macam combination of alphanumeric, huruf besar, huruf ramit, capital letter, symbol dan sebagainya, compared to a chords ataupun lyrics. So, and of course, passphrase are easy to type accurately rather than the complex password. Okay, if everyone can agree on this. Okay. So things to avoid when creating a passphrase. Okay. Again, same goes to the password. Avoid passphrase containing your personal details, like your full name, macam Ali bin Abu bin Bakar dan sebagainya. So it's actually a full name of dia punya sendiri. So try to avoid this kind of passphrase. And then don't let it be a single word, either for forward ataupun backward, ataupun from an English or foreign dictionary. Okay. Again, kadang-kadang dia boleh using a brute force kalau ia pendek dan sebagainya. And then don't use more than 3 sequential characters on a keyboard. Okay, macam QWERTY, 1 2 3 4 5 6 ataupun ZXCVB. Okay, actually a sequential characters on a keyboard. And of course, the same concept. Don't use more than 2 consecutive repeating character. As you can see, it's BBB, 2BBB, okay, dan sebagainya. Kalau boleh jangan memakai lebih daripada 2 repetitive lah ataupun repeating character. And then on top of that, don't let your passphrase atau let be all numbers, macam such as your birth or anniversary dates dan sebagainya. Okay, make sure ada it's balance, a combination of information, word dan sebagainya, number dan sebagainya. And of course, don't ever share your passphrase with anyone for any reason. Okay, without further ado, we'll proceed to demonstration. Okay, so now we understand already the main difference between password and passphrase. So let's go to the demonstration part. Okay, so for this purpose, I'll be sharing with you guys the 3 websites that I'll be using for this demonstration. Okay, let me share the new screen. So we have here roboform.com, Password Monster, which used to be one password punya so under the one password punya services, and then NotPass. Okay, so let me bring a notepad. Okay, let me check notepad. Okay, so what we're gonna do here, typically I see people use a password which consists of the orang punya name, birth date, alamat dan sebagainya. So this is the things that we want people against the password. One of the main reasons because of the social media games, we call it social media games. When you open a social media account, they will ask for your details on where you grew up, what's your street's name, your mother name, dan sebagainya. So those are actually all very dangerous games to play. It might relate to your password dan sebagainya. So for today's demonstration, we will create a random password. So we'll try. What should we do? Okay, PASSW0RD1. Yes. Okay. So let's try this password. So as you can see, the password it met all the requirements. 10 characters, uppercase, lowercase, number, and symbol. And then we're going to create a passphrase. So let's say anything that related to the current situation, misalnya maybe, okay, Brunei bersama kita boleh. I think I come across with this quotes around RTB news. Okay, so this is the password. Password, and then this is the passphrase. Okay, so we're going to copy this password. Okay, and then we're going to paste to the websites. As you can see, it indicates that the strange password is actually weak. Okay, give me one moment. Okay. Then let's try the second website, password meter. Sorry, what happened to this? Okay. Resume share. Okay, so the second website, passwordmonster.com. I'm going to paste it here. Kalau kita nampak, this password it's very weak. It meets the requirement lowercase, uppercase, numbers, symbols, dan sebagainya. But the problem is this password can be cracked less than 1 second, 0.08 seconds. And the third one is notpass.com. I'm just gonna pass the password here. Okay. So as you can see, the password strength is moderate, ada lowercase, it meets the requirement dan sebagainya. And then the time to crack the password, it's 3 hours. So this depends on the website sana. And then as you can see sini, the password has previously dalam pernah kena breach dan sebagainya. Okay. Kalau you guys pernah memakai password itu sekiranya, let's try this one. Okay. Example, if anyone pernah memakai this password, okay, it's considered as weak. And then if you can see at the bottom atau this password has been exposed 5,016 times. Okay. So please make sure you can use this tools ni to make sure password atau dia pernah kena breach ataupun tidak. Okay. So if you can see from all the websites atau we meet all the requirement, but then password itu still considered as weak dan sebagainya. So next we'll try to use the passphrase. Okay. So I'm just gonna copy this one. Okay. So just remove dulu lah. We just gonna copy this one without the hash. Let's try. Okay. Okay. Okay, the first website, how secure is my password? Okay, consider as strong. Okay. Yang kedua, second website, Password Monster, pun considered as very strong, which take around 1 million trillion years basically to crack this password or this passphrase. Sorry. And then the last one is considered as strong saja, tapi ia indicate sana there's no symbols. So let's try add a few symbols. Okay. Masih sama strong. And then if you realize here, let's just add one symbols. Okay, you can see the difference 1 million trillion here. By adding one symbol, it will speed up to ataupun it will take 111 million trillion years basically to crack this passphrase. Okay, dan sebagainya. Okay, so what's the difference between using a passphrase and a password? So as you can see, okay. So as you can see, this is a easy to use, and I'm gonna having write it out on a sticky notes and put it on the keyboard. Macam mana passwordnya? Brunei bersama kita boleh #1. So it's easy to remember, dah lagi payah ditulis apa-apa and then taruh di keyboard ke apa itu dan sebagainya. So you can see how easy using a passphrase is much better than using a clever password rather than complicated characters macam mana ni which is hard to remember. Okay. And then on top of that, combination of two-factor ataupun multi-factor authentication is very important juga. So the odds of you being breached have just gone way down. So most likely if you're breached, it's not gonna be your password or your passphrase that has caused the problem. It will probably be because of the weaknesses somewhere or something else. So your passphrase is probably not gonna be the problem. Okay, always use two-factor or multi-factor authentication even with a strong passphrase. Okay, two-factor authentication provide enhanced security to your credential, including your username and password. So the multiple layers of authentication increase confidence that user requesting access is actually they claim to be as specifically you as a user lah tu. And then just to share you, if you can Google this, I've come across with a report released from Microsoft that said that, ataupun that stated that around 85% of all data breaches could have been prevented with two factors or multi-factor authentication. So this is something that we should always be aware of. And then juga, one of the common question and answer that we receive juga, what happen if you forget your passphrase? Okay, simple. Ia macam your password dia. Okay, you can have the features ataupun option basically to reset your password, provided all the information required is correct dan sebagainya. Right. Okay, so we come to the second last of the topics for today's. What can you report to Buset? So there are actually many issues related to cyber incident where you can report to us. Bukan semua. Macam some people call arah kami punya hotline claiming ataupun complaining that dia punya printer dah baik, dia punya wifi doesn't want to be connected to dia orang punya internet dan sebagainya. It's not part of kami punya anu lah tu, cyber incident dan sebagainya. So this is something that you can report to Buset when it comes to infected computer, macam viruses, malware dan sebagainya. Okay, malicious websites. Sorry, I forget to share the screen. Okay, so infected computers such as malware, viruses, a worm or Trojan horse. And then the second one will be malicious websites. Okay, so a website attempted to install malware or gain access to your computer, and then a hacked email account. Okay. A hacked email account is actually unauthorized access to your email account or even your social media account, usually after a user clicks on a phishing link, selalunya. And then the next one is phishing, okay, an attempt to trick you into revealing private information such as your password, credit card number, usually by sending an email claiming to be from a reputable company. If you're not sure what is actually phishing all about, you can Google, you can follow kami punya previous webinar session on phishing. And then business email compromise, okay, and email scamming targeting companies by spoofing the email account of high-level employees to convince the victim to transfer funds or reveal confidential information. And then social media, unwanted contacts, hack account, online impersonation, social media scam, termasuk just extortion and other issues related to your online privacy and security. You can basically report this to Buset. And then cyberbullying include online harassment, abusive or threatening comments or impersonation. And then website defacement, basically it's an attack on a website by changing the appearance of the content of the sites, basically. And last but not least is denial of service, a malicious attack making a website temporarily unavailable by overwhelming its resources using the DDoS attack punya threats. Okay. So alhamdulillah, we come to the last part of the presentation today. For any cybersecurity incident related, you can email us at reporting@buset.org.bn, or you can give us a call on our hotline at 2458-001, which operate 24/7, 24 jam. And then make sure it's cybersecurity related, as mentioned previously. Kalau you guys malu kan bercakap or email, you still can reach us to our WhatsApp at 717-0766.